it gets a little dark in here. It gets quite dark. Okay, I'm gonna just say it now before we get into this. It gets quite dark. So yeah, if y'all really got the stomach for some some weird stuff, let's get into it. First piece to set the tone. So yeah, this piece is a bunch of I mean it's pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, so it's a mixed media. It's pen and Copic marker. The Copic's at the for the background, of course. So the basic idea for this drawing is, you know, um, gluttony. It's really dark how he, instead of eating the cheese, he's using it in a sense to, lure these rats in and eat them. And like the basic message behind that is, well, it's gluttony and it's how the rich use money to control the less fortunate and ultimately just devour them. Yep, and it gets darker. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. This one, the holding the man with the puppet strings, controlling his lady, and just the whole misogyny. I might have gone a little crazy with the rendering. Like I really wanted to like convey that anxiety, in the piece. So I used pencil for texture to get that gritty feeling. Yep, and I just had to draw this one, man. Kratos is by far the greatest video game character that there is. Like you can debate me all you want. This is the greatest video game character ever. So yeah, and that's that. This one's just a watercolor study. Nothing too fancy. Apple study. I was trying to be more abstract in this one. This is a charcoal skull study. A tip for anyone who wants to draw faces well is it's very good practice to learn the features of the skull, because the skull it really gives you that insight of why those specific shapes on the face are there, and it just helps overall in portrait drawing. Yeah, this piece is called Decay, and so the story that I wanted to tell with this one here, it's there's two ways of looking at it. If you're more optimistic, you can say that the flower in the main flower is coming back to life, or if you're more like pessimistic, you can say the flower is decaying, it's dying. And so yeah, it's one of those pieces where I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to take it. I just had an idea in my head like of the story, and try to tell like a story, not using figures, using not objects, but using things that are not figurative, So I really wanted to challenge myself there. And so the background also mirrors the story that's being told with the flowers in the foreground there, with the colors that are like gray on one side, and it's it's red, like it's trying to like come like it's trying to like overpower, but it's ultimately getting consumed by the cool blues. And the mediums that I used for this was acrylic, Copic marker, and pen. So the way I make these backgrounds is I just the way I discovered this technique was a bit of a mistake. I just I spilt like a bit of watercolors on this A3 page, and then I was like, the pattern looked pretty interesting, when it's spilled, so I continued that throughout the whole page. And whilst it was still wet, I took another piece of paper and I sort of like stamped that paper on to get those textures, to get those patterns there. So yeah, and I put salt as well, so just adds like a bit of variety. It's pretty weird. Completely discovered this by mistake, and I think, in my opinion, I think this one in particular it could be like the surface of Mars. And this one again is the same technique. I like how this turned out. The only so everything here wasn't very like intentional. I just let the watercolor do what it does. The only thing that was like intentional was the color choice. So this one I decided to create a artwork with that idea. So what I did was I did the same thing, stamped 2 pieces of paper, put salt, and I never had a plan for it in the beginning. I saw that just the watercolors and the salt, the way it was displayed, and I don't know, just a random guy and this thing just popped into my head. I don't know, hey, sometimes ideas come out of absolute nowhere. It was not intentional at all. Yeah, so this one is the same concept. I just decided to make it a portrait. This piece is an interesting one. This one is it's charcoal and acrylic. When making this piece, I wanted to be charcoal, and I didn't want the acrylic to like overpower the charcoal because it's its color. So you'll see that some of the flowers they're not painted, like rendered in fine detail, and they're more suggested. You can still see like gaps in between. You can see the paper underneath. The topic here was light. So yeah, I really wanted to go for a more impressionistic type of style where you can see the brush strokes and the subtle colors inside the subtle colors that you see. So it's not just blue, a little bit of purple, yellow, purple, a little bit of complementary colors. And for the sleeve here, I wanted to like from close, it just looks like a bunch of brush strokes. But if you really like zoom back, it comes together and it makes sense. And like to contrast that, I wanted to I made the face more refined and everything else just a little more impressionistic and abstract. So the infamous bar scene. So this one is it's graphite on A3 paper. And yeah, this one I really wanted to make the composition really like draw you into the main figure in the foreground there. So, and yeah, I'm really proud of how the composition turned out in this one, and the shading as well. I think the shading is a little. I think I'm not proud of the value composition in this one, because yeah, I mean when I made it I was pretty happy, but like looking back I'm not too happy with the value composition. It could have been a more like controlled. This is a thumbnail for that drawing. So yeah, you see I changed a few things, like I messed around with the perspective, like I made it a little tilted to give it a disorientating feeling, like how the people might be feeling in the bar. But yeah, I wasn't too confident in making that decision in the final, so I just changed it up. I changed a few things here and there. And I absolutely hate the prelim. I hate this painting. It's the worst painting. Not the worst painting. The worst painting is coming up, but I absolutely hate this painting. Let's move on. Yeah, like I was saying in the beginning, so this is like a pretty much just like an illustration type of style, type of cartoon style. So yeah, I was really interested in in cartoons and things like that, so I wanted to experiment with that style. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of how this went. I like the overall like composition and the depth that I made with the Copics and the pins. and this is my very first painting. Yeah, as you can see, it's came from very, very humble beginnings. So yeah, whenever someone tells me that you're good at it because you're talented, that's so not true. Couldn't be further from the truth. This is where I started, and yeah, like I wanted to show you this just in case if there's any artists that are watching this and think that you have to be that I'm just making these like just making them out of my that's not the truth. It took a lot of work, really. It took a lot of work to get where I am, and yeah, I'm really proud of how far I've come. Thank you so much for watching if you came this far, and please make sure to like and subscribe if you want more. Like I have a lot of artworks. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I have so much art stockpiled in my in the cupboards, in the dark cupboard that's just hiding in there. So if you guys want to see more, please let me know in the comments. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Peace out.